Welcome to Creature Guy Live. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan. We will be covering animal news from around the world and then get into some funny animal videos as well. Some might be serious. We don't know. We also might be changing our schedule from one video a day to two live streams. And remember to follow and comment and
You mean
ask any
one live stream
questions.
to two live streams?
Oh, well. Um, Also, we're deciding on what specific days it's going to occur on as well. But let's throw up the first video. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Oh no. No, 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 no. It's one of these African leopards making a mistake. There are porcupines over in Africa, especially the African crested porcupine. Many just tend to associate with the North American porcupine. And I believe the African crested porcupine is slightly larger than the North American porcupine. So reaching a little over what, 50 pounds or somewhat over 20 kilograms. Why? Why touch the keratin? Why touch? Oh, that was pretty good. No, still though. Stop. This
He's trying to brush his teeth. He needed a toothpick.
brush it or
Toothpick.
immobilize it.
Immobilize his teeth.
Yeah. Um. And so these African crested porcupines, I mean, they'll be feeding on like different types of roots or wood, especially going after different species of fruit. And they'll be somewhat omnivorous too. So they might even scavenge carcasses and they'll go after different types of insects.
Wait,
And
wait.
yes,
They eat meat?
yep,
Oh,
occasionally. Leopards, leopards, lions, most of the carnivores in Africa try to occasionally feed on porcupines. It's extremely risky though. That seemed to be a young individual. Okay, so heading to the first article from Sci News. Largest feathered discovered largest feathered dinosaur discovered in China.
no. It's the largest feather discovered.
I really do wonder where that was discovered actually. I don't know. And an international team of paleontologists has discovered fossils of the largest feathered dinosaur known to date. Okay, well, this is from a much um this is a much older article, so let's see what we're referring to. The paper in the journal Nature describes a gigantic new basal tyrannosauroid, Euityrannus holi. Okay, so this is a large species of theropod dinosaur that existed during the late Cretaceous period over 80 million years ago in China. And there is, I believe, evidence for specifically Euityrannus containing feathers. Looks like this animal was probably somewhere around 25 feet in length or pushing over 7 meters and weighing up to 1,800 pounds, or a little over 850 kilograms. On the basis of three nearly complete skeletons found in the lower Cretaceous Yixan Formation of Western Liaoning Province, China. Wow, I didn't realize that there were three skeletons found at the exact same time over when Tyrannus was first discovered. So that's quite amazing. It seems to be there's some species of dromaeosaur in the picture as well towards the left, and I think a certain relative, the pterodastropterosaurs, towards the top of the picture. It is interesting. They're showing the Tyrannus group. Well, they're showing Tyrannus in a pack structure, which seems to be a probable case for later species of Tyrannosaurus, though it's certainly possible with earlier species during the early Cretaceous period, so over 100 million years ago, or even at the late Jurassic, so over 160 million years ago when the Tyrannosaur lineage first evolved. So later on in the Cretaceous, you will have larger forms such as Tarbosaurus. Shortly beforehand, though, you had animals like Electrosaurus, but Electrosaurus was over in Mongolia. So you would have different small tyrannosaurs appear in China toward the end of the Cretaceous as well.
China.
Um, the team, including researchers from the University of Alberta and five Chinese institutions, notes that these three specimens were acquired from a fossil dealer who stated that they were collected from a single quarry. However, the dealer could not provide accurate information as to the exact quarry in which specimens were collected. Um, hmm. That is interesting. The University of Alberta got or was a part of this study, and are like, wait a second. We have we are very proud of our mid-sized tyrannosaurs over in Canada from around 75 million years ago, even to about like 81 million years ago during the Campanian stage of the Cretaceous. We must interfere and take a look at what's going on over here in China. This was way back in the early 2010s. But, no, I mean, Tyrannus as a whole is very important to the evolutions of especially different species of Asian tyrannosaurs. Let's see. So Tyrannus lived in what is now northeastern China about 125 million years ago. Oh, okay. I guess I was fairly off on the date. I wonder who I was mistaking it with. Maybe, gosh, who is that specific tyrannosaur? It's not hitting me. Lived in a much cooler climate and weighed at least 1.4 tons. Well, that's a heavier estimate. I wonder if that's was a older estimate because last time I looked at Tyrannus when it came to the different weight estimates, though it changes sometimes depending on the year and with different paleontologists making different estimations on the weight of different species of dinosaurs, even different species of prehistoric mammals. So they could change it again. Let's see. But okay, we're back when animals like Microraptor and Sinornithosaurus existed over in China. So this is during the first 20 million years of the Cretaceous. The body length of this creature is estimated to be about 9 meters. That's even larger too. I mean, that's around 30 feet. So I wonder if this was just an older estimation or this is the largest Euotyrannus that we know of.
Why is
Oh,
this all
there's
so
the face.
blurry?
Okay. Yeah, it is somewhat. But, yeah, there
Is
are the
that the
teeth on the
face?
bottom. Yep, this is this whole area, that's the, face, and here's the teeth down here. It's, somewhat decently preserved. They do have a bit of a tyrannosaur tooth sort of look. I mean, they're not exactly extremely thin and narrow. So, the features of Tyrannus were simple filaments. They were more like the fuzzy down of a modern baby chick than the stiff plumes of an adult bird. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that about Tyrannus. I wonder what else has been found out about, especially in recent times, when it comes to the structure of its overall pigmofibers or the feathers of this creature. So the name of the creature means beautiful feathered tyrant in a combination of Latin and Mandarin. As a living animal,
Does that mean
Uteran
he yells a lot?
oh, yeah, probably. As a living animal, Tyrannus was smaller than its infamous relative Tyrannosaurus rex. Yeah, of course, you had to compare it with him. Um, yeah, I mean, Tyrannus was smaller compared to quite a few different species of Tyrannosaurs. I mean, even, let's see, 1.4 tons. Not Electrosaurus, I would think, but maybe not even now Tyrannus. It's still larger. Definitely Albertosaurus, Gorgosaurus, and Zhusheng Tyrannus, a later larger species of Tyrannosaur, which maybe that's who I was mistaking him with. Let's see. But about 60 times heavier as Sinocoleopteryx and 40 times as heavy as Beoposaurus. Why would you compare these small theropod dinosaurs with Tyrannus? Previously ranked as the largest known feathered non-avian dinosaurs. The idea that primitive feathers could have been for insulation rather than flight has been around for a long time. However, large bodied animals typically can retain heat quite easily and actually have more of a potential problem with overheating. That makes Tyrannus, which is large and downright shaggy, a bit of a surprise. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, larger mammals can retain heat, but there comes to a point where even they still need an extra covering. You would have had it where even certain times in the early Cretaceous, you could have had snowfall in different regions, especially in the northern hemisphere, in different parts of southern hemisphere, even over in different parts of Australia. In the back in the early Cretaceous, like over 135 million years ago, it could have occurred or would have. The discovery of Euotyrannus walleye provides direct evidence for the presence of extensively feathered gigantic dinosaurs and offers new insights into early feather evolution. Euotyrannus dramatically increases the size range of dinosaurs for which we have definite evidence of feathers. It's possible that feathers were much more widespread, at least among the meat eating dinosaurs, than most scientists would have guessed even a few years ago. That seems to be the case. Most species of herbivorous dinosaurs, especially those belonging to the Ornithischian lineages of dinosaurs, which you had the two major groups, the Saurischians and the Ornithischian dinosaurs. So, in the Saurischians, I'd say most of them, if not all, had feathers when it came to the herbivores, and that is referring to different members of the Therizinosaur group, possibly even the Alvarezsaurid group, which are close relatives of the raptors or the dromaeosaurs. But when it comes to the Ornithischians, it looks like so far only animals like certain smaller species, ceratopsians, possibly larger species, still a big debate, even as immense as Triceratops. But the ones that seem to have had feathers are probably not weighing much more than 90 pounds or a little over, what's about um, 45 kilograms. So, most of the larger species of ceratopsians, and then stegosaurs, the ankylosaurs, you can even throw the carnivorous pachycephalosaurs in. So far, there's not much evidence for them having feathers. Um, I will say, though, I'm going to have to correct myself when it came to the Saurischians. So far, there's not any evidence for the sauropods because they are a large group of the Saurischian lineage to have had feathers.
Weren't they showing them at one point with them?
Yeah, and even giving them like different turkey or chicken. What's another animal?
I
Maybe
was
even
thinking
certain
down like feathers.
grouse. Well, I was thinking of that fleshy covering around their neck.
Oh, no,
That's
I'd seen pictures that you'd shown me where they were,
yeah. Sometimes they put them like along the top of the neck,
no, the
or
whole body was covered.
oh,
Like, it looked like a giant like, the entire body moved, like, it showed, like, wind hitting it almost, and they would flow. Not long ones, they, like, were little tiny feathers on them. It
um,
was just, like, coated.
yeah. It was still a bit of a huge question, and it still technically is as to maybe the possibility of certain sauropods still having them, but so far there isn't any evidence for it. Now, I will say though, during the Jurassic, there probably wasn't really a need, even when it came to warmth, even referring to the chick sauropods, because of how warm it was during the Jurassic. So maybe the Cretaceous, but at least so far there isn't any evidence. So let's head over to the next video. Oh, okay. The first or the next article, or should we go to the next? Okay, let's see. Was it a baby sea lion with Navy SEALs?
That's
Oh,
what it looks like.
oh. He's like, um.
I bet I can outswim you guys.
Well, I was just thinking of like, who's going to carry the boats?
Not him.
Yeah.
I wonder why they cut the video so short.
Who's going to harvest the squid? That's a sea lion. Who's going to harvest the fish? I was thinking of something for the sharks or the orcas,
I just thought it was funny.
but Navy SEALs are like, no, we're not allowed to hurt the orcas. Or who's going to harvest the trash? Because they constantly get tangled in, wiring and plastic, so
Talking about the
sea lions.
seals? The
Yeah,
sea lions?
especially the pups. Um, let's see, but that was pretty funny. Wonder how often that occurs.
It has to be pretty comfortable to go run up to them and go out with them.
Yeah. He might be a bit I don't know, maybe he didn't seem confused, seemed like he was on a mission too.
Yep. He just wanted people to hang out with and go swimming.
Yeah.
He saw they had flippers too.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that is true. Maybe he did get a bit, confused, but maybe he was also, wondering if he was gonna lead them over to some enemy foreign, sea lion population. So, from philstar.com, going on to the next article. Leopard captured after wandering into Indonesian hotel. Okay. Oh, yeah, he looks very relaxed.
There's
So
something
I think he's out of it.
It looks like he's hiding.
Yeah, he's just very proud of where he is. Maybe he, maybe he's in the air conditioning. So let's see. Oh, yeah, it's a tranquilized Javan leopard lies inside a cage at a hotel in Bandung, West Java on October 6th, 2025 after wandering into the hotel premises. I see monkeys. A leopard was kept because they eat monkeys. A leopard was captured on Monday after it wandered into a hotel complex in one of Indonesia's most popular holiday destinations, sparking panic among guests. The big cat was spotted on Monday morning outside a guest room on the second floor of a hotel in Bandung, the capital of West Java, Indonesia's most populous province. So yeah, this is over, I'm guessing, on the island of Java. So there are Javan rhinos here on the western side of the island. I wonder if it's also adjacent to, well, somewhat the hotel. The hotel management alerted firefighters who then contacted the local conservation agency about the sighting. You forget that in these different countries there are firefighters. You tend to only associate them with the United States, Canada, Western Europe, and Australia. I guess South Africa too. And then in Brazil, you just don't think there's a need for it. And then apparently, no, there's quite a few fires. So we used a tranquilizer, and at around 10 a.m. local time, the leopard was taken out of the hotel. Augusto Arianto, head of West Java's conservation agency, in late August, a leopard was reported to have escaped from a zoo located just 5 kilometers from the hotel. Um, hmm. Well, I wonder though if it was a wild leopard, but I don't know if there's even an estimate for the population of wild leopards over in Java. August said it would take time to determine whether the animal captured on Monday was the same one. Currently, the leopard is slowly regaining consciousness. It has started to growl. Oh, I thought it referred to like leopard conservation consciousness in people, not referring to its physical state. That's just how many things. When you go over this many conservation projects and um, also, I guess the amount of times that people will make that statement in different articles, you have to remember that it's not always what they're referring to. Anyway, Agus said that, adding that the animal would be taken to a conservation facility for observation. Indonesia has seen other
I
incidents of,
hope that they're not gonna start putting them on, antidepressants.
yeah, that's actually a big concern, involving escaped zoo animals in recent years. Let's see, was there anything else? In 2021, two Bengal tigers escaped from a zoo in Singkawang, West Kalimantan. I'm guessing it's another area of Indonesia. There's a series of islands. After days of torrential rain created a hole near their enclosure. Oh, wow. A 47-year-old male zookeeper and several animals were found dead near the tiger cage. Oh. One of the tigers was shot dead, while the other was captured alive. Indonesia's zoos have long faced scrutiny, with some accused of animal cruelty and lax safety standards. Well, that was something with the tigers. However, I'm glad that this leopard, nobody got into conflict, and he's just dreaming about eating other prey items, I'm assuming. Maybe there's fish involved. That's more of a jaguar thing or a fishing cat. So let's head over to the next video.
You're like, "I have no idea how to end this."
Yeah, it was odd. It was just, the leopard in the hotel. He seemed fine. And then the tiger killing. Okay, so I think we have.
I
Is
think
that
it's
an
an
African or
African
is that an
bullfrog.
American bullfrog?
Is that African?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. They can get to over, 11 pounds or pushing over.
But what is this turtle doing?
Yeah, I think it's not an African spurred tortoise. It's another closely related species.
But is it just sniffing him?
I think so. They can be quite curious.
It's like sniffing his butt like a dog.
Yeah, I don't understand what exactly is going on, but they can be very social. Okay, so heading over to the next article from abc.net.au. Rare photo captures Christmas Island flying fox ferrying pup. Oh, yeah, I think you can see it.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Hold on, see if I can blow it up a little. Yeah.
That is quite astounding
I
in
didn't know
full
they could
flight.
do that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So, a photographer
Oh, what?
photographer on Christmas Island has captured what is thought to be the first ever image of a critically endangered bat carrying its young mid-flight. Yeah, I thought this seemed rather new. I'm thinking, well, think it's possible that mothers are able to carry their young mid-flight, but this definitely assures it, at least with this species. Chris Bay said it took hours of effort and hundreds of discarded photos to snap the rare sight. You just photograph every bat that goes past, and we took over 1,000 photos. Later on, we went through them all and then realized that a few of them, the photos had the pup. The Christmas Island flying fox is endemic to the remote territory more than 1,500 kilometers off the West Australian coast. It is the last native mammal still found there, with a population of fewer than 4,000 estimated to remain in the wild. Yeah, that's not a very large, that's a pretty small population of bats, considering you have different colonies in the millions. So,
Maybe they're dwindling because they've gone batty.
yeah, that's sure. They're our own version of the flying fox, critically endangered, but they're also the cutest bat species in the world. They've got big round faces and they're super fluffy, and their ears are very round. Yeah, I guess you can see here. Um, they do have quite a round face, even for different species of bat. Very small ears. Huh. This one seems a bit smaller. He doesn't seem as to have as round of a skull structure, or at least when it comes to his overall muscle texture. Okay, so oh, I guess we're releasing one. He seems pretty healthy.
Oh, you want baby.
I do not know the specific diet of these individuals. Possibly they're feeding on different species of fruit.
Did you notice he looked tagged?
No. Oh, right. Hmm. Certainly possible. Okay, so it's just a minor tag. I'm guessing it doesn't really have an effect on his overall flight.
Wonder if they GPS'd him.
Probably. Finding a window of clear weather to take the photo is a great obstacle. We've been out a couple of times over the last few months to see if we could spot any and had no luck. And then just before we were going to fly out, we went and gave it one more try and then found them. It was pouring with rain and really windy, and so it was pretty terrible lighting. But just impressive to see them flying around in all the gusty wind and so much rain that they were wet and all their fur was really heavy. Yeah, it must be quite exhausting for the bats with that extra added weight to fly at that point. For his partner, Dr. Dorstein of Western Sydney University, seeing the bat cart its pup was not unexpected, but a natural marvel nonetheless. When they are born, they're about 15% of their mother's weight. That's quite a bit. Knowing that flying is already incredibly energetically costly, and then also the mom is lactating, and then she bears around a little blob underneath her. I guess this she's carrying the pup in this picture towards the right as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's it. Let's see. So it's actually really incredible. Dr. Doris Stein said the introduction of feral cats on Christmas Island had a gigantic impact on flying fox numbers. We've seen flying fox remains in the stomach contents of cats. Yeah, look at this picture over here. Even he's not he feels no shame. Along with yellow crazy ants, the invasive species has devastated local wildlife. Well, I don't think this one's carrying a pup.
I still can't believe they're called pups.
At about 400 grams, it's possible they might be referred to as kittens, but I'm just stating pups. Four of the five mammals native to the territory have gone extinct since 1888. Oh, ouch! Didn't know that. Late last year, the Christmas Island shrew was internationally red listed after decades without a sighting. Dr. Dorstein said the destruction of jungle habitat for phosphate mining was also a contributing factor. Let's see. So the first also holds personal significance for the duo. We met at the same places where we took this photo. I was actually catching bats, so I had 2 bats in my hands, and Chris had a photo tour on the island, and he came to the spot with his photo tour. Mr. Bray said the couple shared a sense of advocacy for the often maligned bat. Being with an Annabelle has opened my eyes to so much about different bat species around the world, but also, of course, the Christmas Island one. So is that it? Okay. Well, it's unfortunate with the small bat population, specifically with these flying foxes. So we need to get that population up, or they need to. Um, let's head over to the next video. Oh no, what's going on here? Is this like a honey badger altercation with some leopards?
How did you know that?
Just distinguishing it by the black and white lining here. Looks somewhat like a badger. Yep. Oh, wow. He's in the midst of what seems to be leopard cubs. The female beat on him? Is he? No, he's just one of those nutty individuals. Almost like he's testing his fur.
I don't think he's afraid.
He just still walks up to them.
Ugh. I'll get both your butts.
All right, let's head over to the next article from WJHL.com. Collar cams offer a bear's eye view into the lives of grizzlies on Alaska's desolate North Slope. So here seems to be a brown bear. Wonder if it's like a 2 or 3 year old and he's being confronted by a small pack of wolves. And the wolves also seem relatively well fed too. So this undated image provided by Washington State University in January 2026, made from a video taken from a grizzly bear's collar camera, showed the bear encountering a wolf pack. Let's see. Oh, is there any more? Oh, so it was on the snow-covered tundra of Alaska's North Slope. The life of one of the most remote grizzly bear populations in the world is being documented by the animals themselves, with collar cameras that provide a rare glimpse of how they survive on Alaska's rugged and desolate North Slope. 12 of the 200 or so grizzlies that roam the frigid, treeless terrain near the Arctic Ocean have been outfitted with the cameras as part of a research project by Washington State University and the Alaskan Department of Fish and Game. The videos they record, many partially obscured by the undersides of whiskery muzzles, show the bears playing or fighting with companions, gnawing on a caribou, snarfing up berries, napping on a beach, and swimming in a pond looking for fish. Okay, so I'm guessing this is taking place throughout the year. This isn't all at once. The bears hibernate about 8 months of the year. Varies. 8 months. Seems a bit long.
What bears hibernate 8 months out of the year?
I was thinking you can have some individuals start hibernating around November, maybe in like the mid part of the month, possibly earlier, depending on how fat they are and then how intense of a fall it is, because it's still the what second month of fall in early November, and then you have it where let's see. Many tend to hibernate somewhere around December and then to January, but by mid-December, many of the bears, especially in the northern areas or where there are harsher winters, tend to already be in their state of brumation.
When do
Outside
they
of the few individuals that haven't got enough to,
when do they come out?
males tend to come out of hibernation at around early March, depending on where you're looking. Like at least in different parts of the Rocky Mountains, then in early April, you will have it. Also, that's males and females without cubs at around that time.
You're only talking 4.5 to 5.5 months.
Yeah, possibly. And then early April, you have it where the mothers with cubs will come out. And possibly like the further north, they might come out a bit later, like into maybe even May sometimes.
And if the groundhog saw a shadow, it could
Oh,
be
yeah, he did.
I know.
Um, doesn't really affect it.
What
So,
do you mean? It's 6 more weeks of winter. Why don't they just sleep?
well, oh, yeah, it's interesting. I think I don't remember. I just remember at least the United States started doing it around 1887, but I did used to wonder if the groundhog had an impact, but this was years back on bear hibernation, or at least groundhog hibernation.
What were you, 5?
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So they have a really short window to obtain enough food sources to pack on enough fat to survive that period. We're interested in looking at kind of a broad scale of how they're obtaining the food that allows them to survive through the year and what exactly they're choosing to eat. Well, considering it does vary on the ecosystem depending on what brown bear population you're looking at as to what they're feeding on before they finally go into brumation. Among other things, the state is interested in learning to what extent the bears hunt muskoxen. Yeah, and in northern populations, you do have it where brown bears will occasionally go after muskox, but younger individuals, not really going after full-grown muskox. There are about 300 of the shaggy ice age survivors on the north slope, according to Brzezinski, but the population is not flourishing. Um, yeah, that's a very small population of muskox. The core of the muskox population on Earth is over in northern Canada and then into northern Alaska, and I believe certain parts of northern Russia. And there was a reintroduced population, I believe, to Norway and Sweden, but one of the countries no longer has a population. The problem is that in that specific part of the world, they haven't existed there for at least 6,000 years. So it's a bit of a question as to how they would specifically benefit the ecosystem, considering they're technically not native at this point. So let's see. Videos from the first year of the project show that emerging from hibernation, the bears eat the carcasses of caribou or muskox that have died over the winter. Then they attack caribou calves. As soon as the tundra greens up, the bears shift their menu toward vegetation. Oh, if you look up a muskox. So it's just musk and then ox, separate words. So then they attack caribou calves as soon as the tundra greens up, the bears shift their menu toward vegetation, especially blueberries and soapberries, also called buffalo berries. I don't think this is new for the bears in the region. Um, yeah, caribou calves, it seems to make sense. Yeah, so here's a muskox. Many tend to assume that these animals are huge, like the size of bison or bigger. And the truth is, muskox don't really reach over 930 pounds? That's a big muskox, or a little over, 450 kilograms? I mean, that is a large male. This individual, he's just simply shedding. And let's see. So, really, it tends to be wolves that are their biggest predator. Even for adults, they have to be careful. If they get singled out from the herd, um, s- pack of 4 or 5 wolves, or even Arctic wolves, depending on where you are in northern Canada, can take them down. Yeah, nothing is pretty much getting through this herd, but brown bears, wolves, definitely going to be wanting to target that smaller individual without any horns in the center. Mhm. There's that
Oh,
little.
I
There's
didn't
that
see
calf.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty fluffy. So
It
they're
looks like a
feeding on.
stuffed animal.
Yeah, they do, especially young muskox. Um, what is it? Yeah, they're like feeding on different species of moss and lichen over in the tundra.
Is there anything else?
No, that's it. I think it was the 11. There we go. So let's see if they have anything else. They don't fatten up the way salmon eating bears do. Those bears can reach up to 1,000 pounds or 454 kilograms. Well, they get bigger. I mean, if you're talking about brown bears, also even different parts outside of the Kodiak archipelago, where is it? I think it's called Norton Sound over in western Alaska. And those bears, I believe, can get over 1,200 pounds. So I think, what is that? A little over 560 kilograms. And then you have where the Kodiak brown bears can get over 1,600 pounds, or a
Eh,
little over
Is that where they
1,100
shot
kilograms.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I have no idea. Let's see. These Arctic grizzlies are small in comparison, reaching up to 350 pounds or 159 kilograms. Whoa, I didn't realize they were this small up there. That's like Mongolian grizzly or Tibetan brown bear small. That's a bit of a shock. I mean, I guess that makes sense considering the um just the sheer lack of food sources in the region. At least nowhere as abundant as where you're finding it in these salmon rich areas. Two, it also means that they're quite aggressive, most likely. Since brown bears over in Tibet, China, they look quite small, but those things will attack anybody. Let's see. To initially fit the bears with the collar cams, the researchers tracked them through the snow by helicopter last May. Brzezinski fired tranquilizer darts from the air, with Vincent keeping track of injection times and helping determine when the bear was safe to approach on the ground. It is also interesting how you have it where these smaller grizzly bears are able to somewhat scare off polar bears from whale carcasses. It's almost like the polar bears just don't want any conflict if they don't need it, and they really only like associating it with their own kind. Unless, I mean, there was that time, but earlier last year when a female polar bear with her cub. Now, you have to remember, female polar bears don't really exceed 750 pounds or a little over 350 kilograms.
They don't?
Not really. That's about their maximum size. They can get slightly bigger depending on, I think, okay,
We're talking about polar bears, right?
yeah, that's about on average. I believe there was a fat female polar bear that reached a little over 1,000 pounds, pushing over 450 kilograms.
Wait, and the
But
males get how big?
they can reach over 20. The record is 2,200 pounds. But on average, a fat one somewhere between 15 to 1,700 pounds. That's a big individual, or a little over what's 700 kilograms. Let's see. Oh, it's that black bears over in Labrador are quite aggressive and they will take advantage of any carcass that's available. I wasn't sure what carcass they were feeding on. Couldn't tell if it was like a small beluga that had been dragged quite far inland from the shore, or maybe it was the caribou carcass. Maybe it was another bear. But that black bear, which looked close to the size of the female polar bear, um, I think he might have pushed them away, but, we didn't I don't think we were able to see what occurred afterwards. Let's see. So what I was referring to is over in Eastern Canada, so, like, northeast of Quebec. So let's see. It's not difficult, but there's a lot of thought that goes into making sure the collar is adjusted properly. The researchers darted the bears again in August to replace the collars and in September to download data. Researchers also measured the bear's weight gain and body fat. When those collars came off, the state wildlife department replaced them with GPS collars. So the collars, I'm guessing that they put on the bears were like a weight tracking, or they were a weight tracking system. And
How would
then,
it
okay,
track their weight?
um, well, can't we track our own weight with, I thought we had the certain devices that would do that.
It tracks your weight,
Yeah, just heart rate or
your blood pressure and such, your heart rate, but your how would it track your weight?
hmm. I guess I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to look into that even when it comes to like polar bears. So that data could determine how oil field development what is impacting bears and help identify where they den during the winter, areas that oil companies must avoid when they build winter roads between drill sites. Oh, well, yeah, I guess that can help. The cameras can record up to 17 hours of video. In the spring and summer, they took a short video clip 4 to 6 seconds every 10 minutes. In the fall, due to the encroaching darkness, they recorded clips every 5 minutes during daylight. Despite their brevity, the clips provided a rare perspective of how the bears thrive on the desolate North Slope, an area that covers about 94,000 square miles or 243,459 square kilometers, but is home to only about 11,000 people. I'm shocked that there are even that many people there. Um, what is it? Okay, so apparently, no, it's just a lot of video of the bear's life. So nearly half of the residents live in Yukavik. Oh, this is very northern Alaska. This is literally the northern tip of the state.
I thought that was dead horse.
No, I think Dead Horse is over in it's on the Yukon Alaska border and much further south. So it'd be over in like somewhat central eastern um Alaska. So let's see. The nation's most northern community, formerly known as Barrow. So one thing that's really nice about these bears is that when they're foraging on a particular food, they tend to do that one thing for a long period of time. So these bears will spend pretty much their entire day eating, So the chances of us actually seeing what they're doing are pretty high. Um,
It's like right here.
oh, wonder what I was confusing it with. Maybe somewhere in the Yukon?
Mm.
Oh, okay. Oh, my mistake. Hmm. Let's see. The 11 one. Cameras also caught an encounter between a bear and a pack of wolves. It occurred after the bear had emerged from hibernation in May. It was not eating yet, so there was no adverse interaction with the wolves over food. There were no wolves visible in the next clip, indicating it was a peaceful exchange. I think they both decided that it wasn't worth it, so they just looked at each other, then moved on. The study will continue for another 2 years with plans to add collars to 24 more bears. Okay, well, that's interesting. We got a little bit of an insight as to what this specific bear was feeding on. Different, well, I forgot how many specific bears. Well, anyway, I think three different species of fruit and, munching on caribou calves over in the springs, probably late May, early June.
The way you said that was so funny. Munching on caribou calves.
Oh, yeah. Well, depending on where you are in Alaska and even different parts of Canada, grizzly bears can be worse predators of caribou calves compared to wolves. And what was it? I think recently there was certain um, calls or killings of grizzly bears in certain areas where the caribou were having a tough time, but just able to handle their own calf deaths due to the grizzly bears. So I forgot how many were taken out. I think more than like 300. Um, see, are we gonna take a look at another video?
Is anybody else out there having problems with screens freezing?
Oh no,
You read it?
lions are no longer taking their job seriously. I'm guessing that refers to eating people and being intimidating. It's just, it's just a ride.
Or maybe he's taking a ride to his meal place.
I'm guessing it's somewhere over in South Africa. Yeah, it's true.
He's just waiting for them to get out to have something to eat.
And I always do wonder, how do you get out of these vehicles when this occurs?
Look on top. Did you see it?
Yeah, the lioness.
I didn't see that at the first.
There's probably, I'm guessing, a handful of people here or somebody that has a bond with these specific lions, and um, maybe they distract them for a couple minutes. Okay, so from n.clickpatrolgas.com.br, invasive green crabs are advancing in Washington, putting 8,000 acres of seagrass that supports salmon, crabs, and indigenous communities at risk. Wait, we're talking about Washington State, I'm assuming, because there aren't any salmon over in near the District of Columbia. If there
It's a
were, I'd
lot of
be
fishy people.
yeah, but uh, there were, I'd be very concerned. Well, scientists and volunteers race against time to prevent a silent ecological collapse. Oh, that's not real. Eh, I'm pretty sure we're talking about Washington State, not.
Yeah, that was DC. What?
Yeah, that's funny. I think green crabs threaten seagrass in Padilla Bay in Puget Sound, Washington. Volunteers search for seedlings and traps in Northwest Washington. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're referring to the state. European green crabs threaten the 8,000-acre seagrass meadow off the Pacific coast of North America, which stores carbon. They always have to mention this. In Padilla Bay, volunteers are searching for seedlings and teams. Wait, are searching for seedlings and teams are installing traps to prevent the invasion. There needed to be a comma, I think, after seedlings. The area protects salmon, herring, uh, Dungeness crabs, and food sources for the Samish nation. I think this impacts everybody.
Oh, Dungeness crab.
Mm. Yep. Invasive green crabs have come onto the radar of scientists and volunteers in Northwest Washington because they could put pressure on one of the region's most valuable ecosystems. 8,000 acres of seagrass in Padilla Bay, a meadow that supports commercial species and traditional foods for indigenous communities. On a cloudy Friday morning, volunteers gathered on the shore of the Padilla Bay Estuarian Research National Reserve to search for molts, the shells left behind after molting. The goal was simple and urgent to detect the presence of green crabs early and prevent the population from settling there. Yeah, he looks very proud. That's the invasive green crab. In the reserve, the sorting work gained an experienced guide, Angelica Lucetto, an expert in invasive species, demonstrated how to identify a green crab seedling. Five marginal teeth and spines along the front, usually with a greenish appearance and spots. Let's see. The local search connected to a larger effort. Similar groups gathered across the Salish Sea region in a lightning search for seedlings, trying to find evidence of the invasive European green crab before the invasion becomes commonplace. Actually, I haven't heard about this type of a crab invasion before. I think those are snails. Among the seagrasses are dozens of Japanese mud snails. Whoa, another invasive creature that threatens the meadow. Researchers estimate that there are billions of mud snails in Padilla Bay alone.
The
Whoa.
Japanese finally invaded?
Yeah. They're like, I thought there was a gun behind every blade of kelp. Apparently not. According to the Portal Washington State Standard, while concern about invasive crabs exists through Puget Sound, Padilla Bay possesses a rare ecological heritage, a gigantic meadow of seagrass described as the second largest on the Pacific coast of North America. Yeah, wow, that is interesting. Um, let's see,
Oh, let
June.
me make sure everyone could see. They can see part of it. Hold on. Let me. Oh,
I'm wondering what their specific ecological impact would be on this specific ecosystem. I mean, obviously, they're going to be crowding out other organisms in the area. Um,
see, we're covered with the Japanese.
Yeah, it is quite insane. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, it's like how these are kamikaze snails. Oh yeah, see if there's anybody else that's wreaking havoc. Let's see. Jude Apple, research coordinator for the reserve, argues that this area deserves maximum protection because it serves as a home and nursery. Protection? You mean a mass species extermination? Juvenile Dungeness crabs, herring, and salmon, they depend on this habitat. Gosh, the comma situation here is horrible, along with many other organisms. Let's see. Traditional food and culture. What is at stake for the Samish nation? Um, oh, yeah, I understand now what your problem is. You really do have a big issue. I wonder when this first started because this is bad. I mean, billions of Japanese snails, mud snails, and these crabs. At least that's what we know of at the moment. Beyond its environmental value, there is also its cultural value. Okay, yeah, we get it. Maintaining this intact habitat, we know at low tide, Padilla Bay becomes a muddy expanse, and the waterlogged seagrass can look like mere ribbons scattered on the ground, but the meadow does silent work that sustains the entire system. Seagrass retains sediment at the bottom of the bay, reduces coastal erosion, and decreases the risk of flooding. Studies also show that landscapes like Padilla Bay capture and store a great deal of carbon dioxide. I wonder why, because they're plants. Okay, a 2024 study added another benefit. Seagrass can eliminate pathogens that could end up in seafood. Whoa. I guess that makes sense. I mean, even grasses, like different prairie grasses in the Great Plains of North America, even other smaller areas in the eastern United States, you could even say in western grasslands, they help filter water. So the authors observed that mussels near seagrass had up to 65% fewer harmful bacteria than mussels far from it, which suggests the use of this habitat as a food security tool. Hmm. Yeah, that's wow. That's quite a decrease. Protecting seagrass will become more difficult. Okay. Let's see. Uh, something about the spreading of the fatal disease that causes seagrass to wither. Um, I would just think I'll have to look into that. If European green crabs become common, they will add further pressure to an already threatened ecosystem. I thought they already were. I thought we were going to read about people harvesting them. These crabs tend to pull up seagrass while digging in search of marine worms or shellfish in the mud, and sometimes they devour their own seagrass. Jude Apples summarized the situation as a risk that can still be contained, but grows as the population increases, which is why the reserve sets many traps to prevent green crabs from establishing themselves. Among the seagrass, researchers also found dozens of Japanese mud snails. That's it. Another invasive creature, the estimate is billion. We saw billions earlier. They're only found in Padilla Bay, adding another element of pressure to the meadow. This scenario helps explain why the warning is of a silent collapse. It is. Ugh. Okay. Is there anything else? Whoa. Okay. Here we go. On Washington's outer coast, the problem has already become prevalent in some coastal areas. In 2024, more than 1 million European green crabs they were captured only between Willapa Bay and Gray's Harbor, showing how the population can explode when it settles. They were making out earlier like there were only a few thousand, and now there's over 1 million. I guess that makes sense because it sounded like they're already here for a while. Laura Kraft, a researcher at Washington State University who works in Willapa Bay, hopes that biologists in Puget Sound will be able to keep the invasive crabs away from precious locations like Padilla Bay because on the outer shore, it feels like it's already too late to completely eliminate the invader. No, I bet you could, but it doesn't sound like anybody's feeding them. Well, wait a second. So there were 1 million captured over in 2024. Wow, that's a lot. The urgency increased in May when a study Laura Kraft worked on showed that even juvenile green crabs can pose a significant threat. The team observed that juveniles are able to open many species of clams and oysters to feed and also threaten marine ecosystems. That is threatening the marine ecosystem. Um, yeah, that's pretty fascinating too. I mean, I respect this invader, but yeah, he's a problem. According to Kraft, European green crabs not only fed on seagrass, but also they cut them arbitrarily. And when the leaf disappears from the plant, it can no longer grow. The account exposes the mechanism of the collapse. Cutting leaves is not just eating, it's altering regeneration. Puget Sound is described as more sheltered than the outer coast, right? With shallower waters and only one entrance and exit, which delayed the arrival of European crabs, green crabs. The first sighting in the sound occurred in 2016. That was a big increase. Even so, the number has only increased since then. In 2023, only a few dozen green crabs were found. In 2024, that number jumped to more than 200, a sign of acceleration that put the reserves into quick response mode. In Padilla Bay itself, the routine includes monitoring and capturing European green crabs. Riley Axelson Ney, the employee, is in charge of capturing and cataloging the presence of the invasive species in the bay, also handles the collection and recording to map any advances. Sounds like they already occupy the whole area. Two environmental technicians, Riley Exelson Ney and Brigitta Matthews, began working in October 2024 during the largest increase of European green crabs ever recorded in Puget Sound. This detail links regional growth to local effort because when the population grows in the surrounding area, the chance of invasion establishing itself in sensitive locations increase. Because Padilla Bay and Puget Sound are so vast, the Washington Sea Grants, the organization that coordinated the Molt Blitz, I don't know what that is, created a way for citizens to help with monitoring. In addition to the Blitz, any resident of Puget Sound can contribute data to the Molt Search program at any time of year. At the end of Friday's search, the volunteers separated the shells by pieces and counted how many they had found. The piles were left only with multicolored seedlings of common native crabs. No change to European green crab has appeared. That's what we like to see. Whew, okay. This is interesting. Hmm. Somebody was saying that, or at least they think that these specific invasive species might have been brought in by the ocean, not even people. I don't know. We're talking about crabs that came from Europe. That's a bit hard to say unless it's one of those species where its name only refers to makes it out like it only lives in a certain area, even though it has a much larger distribution or a
And
much larger home range.
they're up on the other side of the continent?
Yeah, technically it's closer to the Atlantic side or where like Greenland, uh, Labrador, Newfoundland, that region, Maine, not over Washington State. Japan is technically quite far too, but much closer. Yeah, Asia is blocking Europe's way. Whoa. Some part of me says this isn't real. That's a huge lop. That's not a Flemish giant. Right.
We've seen some pictures of them that are massive. But why is he holding a carrot in his mouth?
I mean, okay, there are certain large. Well, that's quite a normal reaction. You got kind of nervous. Okay, there. I mean, there are rabbits that have reached over 50 to 60 pounds or over 25 kilograms. I don't know. Just something off.
Oh, I'll still give it.
Okay, so going back in time from Sci News. First ever discovery of a ceratosaur in Australia. Well, this is quite interesting. Also, seems to be a much older article too. Um, because ceratosaurs, you have it where this is a group of dinosaurs that are somewhat related to the carnosaur lineage of theropod dinosaurs, but um, this is its own distinct group. I think a bit more closely related or grouped with the megalosauroid lineage of dinosaurs.
What's the difference?
Let's see. So ceratosaurs consists of animals such as Ceratosaurus and even the Abelisaurs, such as Carnotaurus and Majungasaurus, Pycnemosaurus. Now, this individual, this is a very rare sort of ceratosaur look. But the ceratosaurs, so they first evolved somewhere around 197 million years ago at the beginning of the Jurassic, and they were probably quite small at the time, probably not much more than 4 to 8 feet in length or a little over 2 meters. So, when it comes to animals like Ceratosaurus and the Abelisaurus, you could have sizes of over 30 feet in length, but that was a very large species of Ceratosaur. Um, then when you look at different species of Carnosaur, they're quite distinct from the Ceratosaur lineage, and even different types of megalosauroid theropods. Now, let's take a look at this. Fossilized remains of a ceratosaurian dinosaur discovered in Australia. They're definitely not common here. In 2006 is the first evidence that a major group of meat-eating dinosaurs roamed the eastern part of the supercontinent Gondwana some 125 million years ago. Okay, so this is during the early Cretaceous of Australia, and you had different species of dinosaurs thriving over in Australia during the early Cretaceous period. So, like different species of Megaraptor occurred here, even earlier species of Iguanodontid, and different species of long-necked sauropod. Some which would become a bit more abundant as the early Cretaceous continued. Hmm. Seems to be holding some other small theropod dinosaur. The Ceratosaur discovery published in the journal Naturwissenschaften improves understanding of the distribution and evolution of dinosaurs in eastern Gondwana, the supercontinent of which Australia was once a part. Until now, this group of dinosaurs has been strangely absent from Australia. And now, at last, we know they were here, confirming their global distribution. Oh, okay, so it was the first species of ceratosaur to be clarified over in Australia. I was thinking maybe they found fragmented remains beforehand, they just couldn't identify it.
Wait. You're saying this is the first one to be found?
It's well, the first one in Australia to be discovered. They've
First one
been
of these, not
yeah,
the
the
first
first
dinosaur.
no, 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 this is the first ceratosaur species.
Okay.
You had, different species of, um, Megaraptor that have been discovered, like Australovenator. Let's see, different species of sauropod and elasmerian dinosaur, like Montebarosaurus. So carnivorous creatures, 1 to 2 meters in height, or somewhere between 3.3 to 6.5 feet. Ceratosaurs have been found in both the northern and southern hemispheres. This discovery joins other widespread carnivorous dinosaurs now known to have lived in Australia: Tyrannosaurs, Spinosaurs, and Allosaurs. Yeah, so this is around the time when most of the large theropod groups had been clarified to have lived in Australia during the Cretaceous. The discovery also lends weight to the idea that Australia was once a melting pot of dinosaur diversity. It had been thought that isolation played a lead role in the formation of Australia's dinosaur fauna. But the Ceratosaur and other new discoveries show that several dinosaur groups were here. These dinosaur lineages date back to the Jurassic, 170 million years ago, when dinosaurs could walk between any two continents. Um, and I believe certain areas might have been a bit complicated to reach, but maybe I'm mistaking that for somewhere else or another time period. So perhaps Australia's dinosaurs represent those groups that achieved global distributions earlier in their history before the continent split up. It's the old age of their lineages, not continental isolation, which explains these dinosaurs' presence in Australia. The Ceratosaur fossil, an ankle bone about 6 centimeters wide, was found near the seaside town of San Ramo, 87 kilometers southeast of Melbourne. So it's a fossilized ankle bone ceratosaur found at San Ramo in Victoria. Oh, I've got a feeling it really is based on fragmented remains. I thought maybe they found a whole skeleton. Apart from Antarctica, Australia has the world's most poorly known dinosaur record. Oh, yeah, it's true. One of the last frontiers for dinosaur hunters. Although discovery rates are accelerating, we're still in the early days of exploring which dinosaurs actually lived here. Each discovery has the potential to change what we know. There's been also quite a few dinosaurs that have been discovered since, but that's concerning. If that's the only bone that they found of this ceratosaur, I doubt it. I'm guessing there's other um, specimens that they found. Okay. Should we take a look at another video?
Okay, I can't tell if this is real, and I don't think it is.
I'm wondering about that bunny. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, okay, sea otters actually can be quite large, but oh, uh, what? Nope. What is wrong with that pup?
What?
Look at his face. Unless he's has some sort of a physical problem,
Is it smushed?
and I think the way the mother is moving. Also, the way the orca went past the boat. None of that seemed to make any sense. Even the way the person was reacting. Orcas do go after sea otters occasionally as just a little, calorie supplement or just a bit of a snack. But um, usually you don't really see the orcas nearby. Like they're within the vicinity, but not like that. Okay, from discoverwildlife.com, I immediately knew it was the largest tiger shark I've ever seen in my life. This was like a truck. A scientist has a close encounter with a shark, but something extraordinary comes to her rescue. He looks very curious. Let's see. When filming in the South Pacific, whale scientist Nan Hauser was swimming near humpbacks when one of them looked at her and started charging towards her. Despite her attempts to create distance between herself and the whale, it kept trying to tuck her under its pectoral fin and even lifted her out of the water and put her on its head. Guess it kind of just nudged her over. But after spawning what she thought was another whale, Hauser realized it was a tiger shark and it was swimming straight towards her. This led Hauser to believe the humpback had in fact been trying to protect her from the shark. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Hmm. So, recounting her tale to BBC Earth, Hauser says, I still to this day can't believe it happened. And being a scientist, it's even harder. If someone told me the story, I wouldn't believe them. This isn't the only time whales have been recorded communicating with humans. Well, I guess in this way, it's body language in some form, as they have been filmed creating bubble rings in front of boats. I wonder what that was to help with.
The
It's just,
whales and the bubble rings?
yeah, I mean, they use them to help confuse fish and then shoals of krill, which they then can surprise. But I'm wondering why they did it around a boat. They blocked the shark's vision. I think they could still smell them. Hauser mentions the marine ecologist Robert Pittman's work about altruism in humpback whales. In 2016, he was the lead author of a study published in Marine Mammal Science titled Humpback Whales Interfering When Mammal Eating Killer Whales Attack Other Species. Common Behavior and Interspecific Altruism. Interesting. I think I've heard of this, but yeah, I need to look into what's going on with the humpbacks and the killer whales. Humpback whales have been documented interfering with attacking orcas, displaying what is called mobbing behavior. Mobbing involves the prey species harassing its predator at close range, making bodily contact, and sometimes even killing the predator. I think the great white sharks could use a hand, considering the orcas feed on them extensively. Well, wherever there's a certain population. There's so few great whites. I mean, there's somewhere between 1,500 to 5,000 individuals. However, these humpbacks were mobbing animals that were attacking a different species. So the team questioned why the whales put themselves at risk, especially since orcas are capable of killing humpbacks. It's pretty risky taking on a full grown humpback, but they definitely go after youngsters. The team suggested three hypotheses: kin selection, reciprocity, and altruism. Kin selection is a type of natural selection that occurs when animals sacrifice themselves to benefit the genetic fitness of its relatives. An example of this can be seen in groups of zebras when the adults turn towards an attacking predator to protect the herd's young rather than fleeing to protect themselves. Or you could say, even like a stranger male stallion when they continuously try to kill off the foals that have just been born of mares whose foal that was from another father. So, one of the most well known examples of reciprocity in the animal kingdom is in vampire bats, which risk starvation by regurgitating blood for their roost mates. Hmm, interesting. I actually haven't heard of that. True altruism, as humans understand it, differs from these concepts as it does not rely on natural selection. There is no guarantee that the other animal will be later rewarded with a cooperative behavior. Pittman's team concluded if the net effect for mobbing humpbacks was an increase in their individual or inclusive fitness through kin selection or reciprocity, then this behavior could persist even if it inadvertently benefited other species sometimes. However, they suggest that further research into interspecific altruism is needed, even if this behavior is unintentional. Okay, yeah, it was definitely quite interesting with the humpback. I mean, it's not exactly new behavior. I mean, this has happened before, but protecting her from a shark. Okay, let's take a look at another video. I got a feeling this is off, or it just got a huge fish.
Do, 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 do.
Hmm, seems pretty realistic.
It's real. You can hear them talking in the background.
Wonder where this was. Um, I don't think it was like Vancouver Island. That salmon's not hitting me. I'm not sure, but that is huge. Okay, from ctvnews.ca. Up to 30% of PEI red foxes, coyotes could have tapeworms. So I
I have
guess
no idea what PEI stands for.
he seems stern, but more like he's focused on a certain vole, not so much the parasite. Or he's just saying, you might want to take a look at this. The government of Prince Edward Islands, or over in Canada, says up to 30% of red foxes and coyotes in the province could have tapeworms. Although it stresses the risk to human health remains low, the Atlantic Veterinary College conducted research between 2020 and 2025 and found that 20 to 30% of red foxes and coyotes in the region carry the tapeworm known as Echinococcus multilocularis, which is a much higher rate than previously reported. No, that's definitely quite something. Even in parts of Canada and Europe, where this parasite has been present for some time, human infections are rare. Well, that's it's good to see. Preventive steps. Um. Okay. The tapeworm spreads through feces of infected animals. People can get infected if they ingest microscopic eggs in contaminated food, water, or soil, or through close contact with infected animals. Keeping domestic. Okay. Is there anything else about? Oh, well, that was quick. Um. Okay, that's unfortunate for those foxes and coyotes, but I guess it's good that few people are contracting it. So let's head to next article from the BenBulletin.com. Rare rescue:
Uh,
Baker County man frees pronghorn buck trapped
uh,
with
you said the Ben Bulletin.
Bend Bulletin.
What are we reading?
Ben Bulletin.
Oh, I was reading this.
Oh, I think I added the. Okay, buck trapped with dead rival. Oh, one of these instances. So Travis Cook found these two pronghorn antelope bucks stuck together by their horns on September 17, 2025. I mean, that is the rut. He used a bone saw to separate the two. One had already died, but the other survived. This is interesting. Considering the way pronghorn horns are structured, you wouldn't really expect this sort of a scenario to happen, but I mean, they do. Let's see. Dramatic rescue unfolded after two bucks locked horns in battle. When Travis Cook looked at the two pronghorn antelope bucks, their heads locked together in a hideous embrace, he couldn't at first compile what he was seeing in a coherent image. The tableau seemed not so much improbable as impossible. One black horn, thick as a wrist, lodged against a nose. That sounds painful. Another horn wedged against a jawbone. Ouch. Implacable as a stout tree root that has wedged itself into a crack in a boulder. One buck prostate still obviously dead. The other just as clearly alive, but ailing. That buck could stand, but only awkwardly. Its head stuck to the other buck's head, brushing the grass and sagebrush, scratchy and dry in the final week of summer. Cook wasn't sure what he could do to help, but as he stood beside the two pronghorns in Keating Valley, where he grew up and where he owns Baker County's only winery, he knew he had to try. So the buck that was alive wasn't going to last very long. He
So
had
is he gonna give them each a bottle of wine after this? Just in
yeah, it
case?
seemed that way. um, well, one's dead, but he had seen five coyotes gather around the pronghorns. Oh, the scavengers had obviously been nipping at the dead buck. Yeah, I've seen this with white-tailed deer. I think also it happened possibly Texas too. And two large bucks had gone into contact with each other. Well, you have something that I watched, and apparently the one of the male deer had been nearly completely discarded by the coyotes.
Discard it. You mean eaten?
Yeah, yeah, eaten. And yeah, there was just bits of like his vertebra left, and obviously his head and his neck. But yeah, it was quite that's quite freaky. And the fact that they didn't go after the other male, but they just thought, why bother if we can just focus on fresh venison. So let's see. The scavengers had obviously been nipping at the dead buck. Yeah, more of just completely severing it. And Cook noticed a patch of hair missing from the live pronghorn's rear. Oh, as though one of the desert dogs had tried to pluck a bit of warm flesh. He took hold of the back legs of the breathing buck. It starts kicking the crap out of me. He tried to strengthen his hold. Then the rodeo was on. Pronghorns can run faster than any other North American mammal, reaching, I don't think 60 miles an hour, but probably around 35, maybe 40. That's pushing it miles per hour. Their legs are powerful, especially the back pair. Cook unlooped his belt and used it to tie the live buck's front legs to a sagebrush. Then he used his cell phone to call his dad, Michael. It started less than an hour earlier. Cook was sitting with his parents, Michael and Kathy, on the porch of their home in Keating Valley, about 15 miles east of Baker City. They were drinking coffee in the morning of September 17th. The trio were talking mostly about coyotes. Okay, what's going on here? Okay. Um the pack of coyotes milling on a ridge a mile or so away seemed peculiar. Cook said he thought the predators were congregating around a deer. I said, I'm going to go shoot a coyote. When he was, I want to say, they're extremely abundant over in the United States, but they've become quite invasive in different areas of the eastern part of the country. Though they have, it looks like, created their own subspecies, so it's a bit challenging to call them non native. But they can be a bit overabundant in many instances. I wonder where this exactly is taking place. It said Baker City. I've heard of that. Let's see. So when he was within rifle range, he fired a shot. Of course, I missed. He was close enough to discern, looking through his rifle scope, that the larger animal wasn't a deer but a pronghorn buck. He sees. Let's see. Um. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing that too much. Okay, about 15 minutes after Cook's fruitless try to free the surviving buck, his parents arrived in side by side. They brought a bone saw. Cook had to use the tool to cut through the dead buck's horns. At first, the live buck lay still. There he stayed for about 10 minutes, breathing heavily. Cook said he didn't believe the buck would survive. But as Cook slowly approached, intending to retrieve his belt, the buck slowly stood. It was very wobbly. Just as he reached for his phone, intending to take a photograph, the buck walked about a dozen feet, and he does this little hopscotch step and takes off like a bolt of lightning. Okay, is there anything else? I think we
Oh, he
already.
didn't get a meal.
Um, no.
Your face. You're like, "Wait, what?" I
Okay,
was referring to the deer.
mean the pronghorn,
Yeah. Oh,
the giraffeoid.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not an antelope. Okay, over to the next article. Glad the pronghorn made it. Unfortunate for that other one. Let's see. From the Times of Central Asia, timesca.com. Kazakhstan restores populations of Przewalski's horse, Turanian tiger, and snow leopard. So these are Przewalski's horses. They're actually not very abundant.
They look like mules.
Yeah, I believe I'm not sure if exactly it's them or a close relative as the ancestor to all the modern breeds of horses today. So Kazakhstan is making significant strides in wildlife conservation, actively restoring populations of Przewalski's horse, the Turanian tiger, and the snow leopard. These efforts mark a major step toward reintroducing species that were once native to the region, but had either disappeared or faced severe population declines. Kazakhstan is continuing its ambitious program to restore endangered species, including Przewalski's horse, a once dominant species of the Kazakh steppes that vanished from the wild in the 1960s. Thanks to international conservation programs, their numbers have been preserved in captivity, and now efforts are underway to return them to their natural habitat. As part of this initiative, Hungary will provide 150 Przewalski's horses, which will be released into Kazakhstani nature reserves, Hungarian Minister of Agriculture Istvan Nagy announced.
Yeesh.
Oh, that's good to see that we have this many horses coming to the region. This step will increase safety for this horse species in case of disease outbreaks. I will say though, they don't have a lot of genetic variety because of the really small population bottleneck that they ended up coming into in the 1930s, I think. The first 7 horses have already been brought from the Prague Zoo to the Atlin Dala Reserve in Kazakhstan's Kostane region. In parallel, Kazakhstan continues its efforts to bring back the Turanian tiger, a subspecies that disappeared from the region 70 years ago. To support this initiative, the government has established the Ile Bakash Nature Reserve, which now serves as a habitat for key prey species. To date, the reserve has received 205 riparian deer and more than 100 kulons. Authorities have also increased the populations of roe deer and wild boars, ensuring an adequate food supply for the tigers. Well, this is really good to see. They're making sure that there are prey items in the region. In fall of 2023, 2 tigers from the Netherlands arrived at the reserve. Oh, okay, yeah, I remember this. And another 3 to 4 animals from Russia are expected to be introduced soon. I did not know about this. We still need more tigers. It's not many. Um, it's really for just more genetic variety. Kazakhstan has also made remarkable progress in snow leopard conservation. According to Danyar Turgambayev, chairman of the Forestry and Wildlife Committee of the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources, the number of snow leopards in the country has now reached 180 individuals, double the population recorded in the 1990s. Well, that's good to hear, but we still need a lot more. Specially protected natural areas covering 3.6 million hectares have been established in key snow leopard habitats. Currently, about 70% of their range is under official protection. Whoa. Sheesh. That's a lot. I don't know the square mileage of Kazakhstan, though. The government has deployed photo traps and satellite telemetry to monitor the snow leopard population. 11 leopards have been fitted with satellite collars, allowing researchers to track their movements and adaptation to the wild. So, since gaining independence, Kazakhstan has dramatically expanded its protected natural areas from 869,000 hectares to 30 million hectares. What? Why? Okay, I've got to be honest. There comes to a point where that is nuts. um, People should still be allowed to have private land. This expansion has not only helped revive endangered species, it also significantly strengthened overall biodiversity protection. Not that much. You got 180 snow leopards. I have to be honest. You've got that much protected land. That's pathetic. 180. Oh, and we might bring in an extra 4 tigers.
How many live around each other?
Um, and referring to what? Snow leopards?
Yeah.
I think it's a really big question at the moment when it comes to snow leopard density because of how large their territories can be. I mean, some instances they're almost like the polar bears of the leopard or the big cat world for how far they venture. To an extent, I guess you could say that's not isn't a great comparison.
So the nearly 31 million might be helpful for them.
Yeah, but that's really insane. I think it's also just funny. So, with an integrated approach to conservation, Kazakhstan has positioned itself as a leader in Central Asia in the reintroduction of endangered species and the preservation of natural ecosystems. Yeah, I guess for over in Central Asia, we don't hear very much from other countries, like maybe Pakistan occasionally, but definitely not the other stands. And what is it? Yeah, Iran. Yeah, definitely not Iran. Those cheetahs, they're not forgotten about. I think Iran, we really don't know, but has a population of somewhere between 20 to 50 Asiatic cheetahs, which are distinct subspecies from the ones over in Africa. But yeah, their population really hasn't changed at least since the late 2010s, possibly even earlier. There also are brown bears in the area where the cheetahs roam. So you still have it where brown bears and cheetahs and possibly somewhat Arabian wolves coexist with the cheetah. So let's head to the next video. Oh boy, these leopards are getting themselves into a lot of issues. Oh, he got a fish. Oh, he got his tail.
And
Why?
he hasn't figured it out yet.
So it's not just dogs that do this. Even cats can't help it. Which I guess makes more sense because they have much longer tails compared to their body size, usually. I really thought that was a fish. It's like, well, I'm very proud. I'm not very proud now. Okay, from the cron.com. West Texas deer hunter uncovers rare mammoth fossil. The isolated fossil was discovered in a dried up creek bed. Well, this is good to see. So I'm guessing not a woolly mammoth. This is probably a Columbian mammoth that was discovered here. Whoa, if those are the bones, that's quite something. The tusk was found isolated from the rest of the mammoth's remains. Hmm. So while prowling for deer at a private West Texas ranch in late December, a hunter encountered something incredibly rare: the ancient remains of an extinct Ice Age elephant. Will Whit, the manager of O2 Ranch, Oxygen Ranch, where the object was found, said he was skeptical at first when the hunters showed him a photo of the discovery he believed was a fossil. I figured it was likely just an old stump, but imagine how great it would be if he was right. Okay, so let's see. Turns out the hunter was right after Huet reported the find to CBBS. A team of anthropology professors and archaeological researchers came to the ranch and swiftly confirmed the fossil was a mammoth tusk. When they confirmed what they had uncovered, I couldn't believe it. The tusk was located in the drainage area of a creek bed. We realized pretty quickly there was not more to the skeleton. It was just an isolated tusk that had been separated from the rest of the remains. That's definitely not a small tusk. I mean, it's what? Probably pushing around 6 feet or
That's what it looks like.
barely 2 meters. Okay, so yeah, researchers at Sul Ross State University Center for Big Bend Studies in Alpine spent 2 days covering the tusk in plaster covered burlap for protection. Wow. Sheesh, that's quite something. Researchers, okay, carbon dating results for the mammoth tusk will be available in the coming months. The discovery marks only the second time a mammoth tusk in the Trans Pecos region, so somewhat southern central Texas, has been carbon dated. The last one was found in Fort Stockton in the 1960s. Oh, this is only the second time, so they're extremely rare, which I guess makes sense considering you tend to hear of mammoths in different parts of like somewhat north central Texas, so somewhat near the Waco, Dallas, Fort Worth area, with like the large Columbian mammoth um, fossil site, where there's a whole herd discovered in this one area. So let's see. When carbon dating was only about 10 years old, there was a big range of error back then. Now we can get it down to a narrow range within 500 years. Hmm, that's pretty good. Learning of the tusk's existence on the ranch has sparked Wet's imagination. Seeing that mammoth tusk just brings the ancient world to life. Now I can't help but imagine that huge animal wandering around the hills on the Oxygen Ranch. My next thoughts is my next thought is always about the people that face those huge tusks with only a stone tool in their hand. In January, a mammoth skull was unearthed at a sand and gravel quarry in central Texas, making the largest find to date from the ancient graveyard. Oh, I don't think I heard about that. I can remember like the mastodon find over in New York City, and then yeah, the
Wasn't that at someone's house?
yeah, this is in somebody's backyard, and they found a mastodon. Yeah, that was New York City was prime mastodon habitat back in the Pleistocene. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. Let's head over to the next video. Hey, is I think it's authentic. Yeah. Just a mother with her youngster,
Look at it. It puts a question mark like, "What are you doing?"
or Joey. He's quite curious.
See the person with the camera?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Did she dig that hole?
Yeah. And you also have it where the pouch for the wombat is situated where the joey faces towards the rear, so it doesn't get hit with all that dirt
Oh,
when the mother's digging.
how does she run?
Um, with the joey in her
I
pouch.
mean, without it falling out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I don't believe they push them out like different species of marsupials, like certain members of the macropod family. But there also really aren't many predators in. Well, I'm not sure specifically what region she was in, but depending on where the wombat is, and there are also three different species of wombat. Some areas there really aren't any predators, and some others they might have to deal with dingoes or feral cats and dogs. So, moving to the next article from tvpworld.com. Drone spots herd of invasive Asian deer in Poland. Why do I have a feeling this is the Sika deer from last time over in Scotland? So let's see. Here we go. A drone used by a nature conservation group has spotted a herd of invasive Asian deer roaming fields in southwestern Poland. The Kolo Nature Foundation said in a social media post on Thursday that the Sika deer, also known by their scientific name, Cervus nipon, were seen in Brzeg County in Poland's Opole region. A thermal imaging drone detected the herd, which comprises several dozen animals, including fawns, grazing in cornfields. It said the use of drones to look for herds of deer from above is quicker than other methods and prevents the possibility of startling the animals. According to the foundation, the invasive Sika deer species can carry parasitic worms, which can pose a threat to hoofed animals like Poland's European bison and cattle populations. Oh, geez. So, first, it's the whistles are having an impact on feeding behavior as well as movement when it comes to red and roe deer.
In
Then,
Scotland.
yeah, back in Scotland. They also heavily well, they multiply or they reproduce much quicker, or at least they produce much more offspring than the red and the roe deer. And they might have mentioned something about a certain parasite. They're also a bit better, it seems, when it comes to hiding from hunters. And this, wow, I've got a lot of respect for the Sika deer, but still don't like them being over here in Europe. They should be over in Russia, China, and Japan. So it's not just the Japanese mud snails that are invading.
But these are the cookie deers, right?
Yeah, they're the cookie deers. So yeah, bowing isn't going to do anything or make me like this deer anymore. And they're really, what is it? Um, they really push people to give them the cookies. They're not very polite about it. Like when they bow their head, it's continuous and not very like you would think that they're somewhat calm and they kind of wait in, much respect. They don't. They just keep bobbing their head. Let's see. It also threatens. Okay, it also says that. Oh yeah, this interbreeding between the Sika and other species like the red deer threatens native populations in Poland. Yep, I don't want Sika reds. The Colo Nature Foundation added that the Sika deer herd was most likely introduced to Poland's ecosystem after escaping previous owners. Wow. There's a herd of. Wait, are those Sikas?
They don't look like Sika.
Uh, well, these antlers look closer to Sika. Maybe. Okay, well, I'm guessing this is a nighttime shot or something from the drone. So it's said that officials in Poland can legally authorize culling of the animals, but added that the logistics and costs of such a process are significant, as the deer are neither a protected species nor listed as game that can be hunted. Um, wonder how that works. I mean, I've seen this with other animals before. It's like it's invasive, but there isn't something that says that it can be shot. According to the General Directorate for Environmental Protection, the government agency responsible for protecting Poland's natural environment, the Sika deer is a highly invasive species originating from areas in Asia, including Japan, Korea, and far eastern Russia. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting Korea. Especially with recently, they've been having Asiatic black bears slowly come back into the country. Well, both regions, North and South Korea. It says that the deer was brought to Poland and other European countries in the 19th and 20th centuries or the 1900s, and that it is still kept as livestock on some Polish farms today. In addition to the threat it poses to native animal species, the Sika deer also damages crops in Poland. It was funny that it finally mentioned it, or it mentions the damage to crops. We don't know the estimate for the invasive Sika deer population in Poland, but it's also, I don't believe, the only invasive species there.
Probably
Well,
not as bad as Scotland.
coming to deer. Relative to the size, maybe not. I don't know. So here comes not a stoat. I don't believe it's a fisher. It's another species of mustelid, closely related to the ferret. Oh, an ermine. Okay. So a small species of mustelid or weasel that preys on different species of squirrel and even different other smaller species of rodent in different parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, even further north into Ontario. Oh,
That's it.
okay. Well, that was quite interesting. Um, mm, oh, right. Okay, from wildlife.org or the Wildlife Society. JWM swine fever drives starving tigers into Russian villages. Oh boy. We've got hungry bears over in Japan. Now we've got hungry tigers in Russia. A drop in wild prey is leading to increasing conflict between humans and predators. An epidemic of deadly African swine fever is driving an increase in conflict between Siberian tigers and humans as the predators become desperate for alternative food sources in Russia's far east. Geez, how I definitely haven't heard of this. How low are there, wild boar in the area? Maybe the different species of deer like the sika, maybe even sandbar deer in the region. Let's see. The main problem was a lack of prey, said Aleksey Alenikov, a researcher at the Institute of Zoology in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is everywhere. Historically, the Siberian tigers, also known as Amur tigers, after a river in the region, occurred all the way into the Korean peninsula. I think he meant to put named after a river in the region. But today, their distribution is limited to a fraction of their former distribution in Northeast Asia. Siberian tigers typically prey on wild boars, roe deer, and red deer. But in 2019, African swine fever, a virus infecting both wild and domestic pigs, hit the southern Russian Far East. Oh, this was recent. How did that occur? The disease had devastating effects there, knocking the wild boar population down by 90 to 95%. Oh, no. In a study published recently in the Journal of Wildlife Management, Oleynikov and his colleagues tracked the impact that the drop in prey has had on tiger populations and the humans who live in the area. Beginning the research was not easy due to a lack of funds for independent research. Russian President Vladimir Putin called a world conference to conserve tigers in 2010, and Oleynikov said the government now supports anti-poaching programs and publishes advertising supporting tiger conservation. But he also said that funding for wildlife research and conservation for the big cats hasn't been forthcoming. In Russia, it's pretty difficult to work with tigers. We don't have enough national support.
Doesn't
Our
he have like $20 billion? Couldn't he do it himself?
I had no idea. Yeah. Our work is built on enthusiasm, unfortunately. Jeez, there's a frostbitten wild boar.
I thought we were
This
talking about tigers.
Well, yeah, but the wild boar population dropped by the swine fever due to 90 to 95%. This means that tracking tiger numbers is difficult. Any indication about decline in the species may be controversial, as it would contradict the official public messaging. The wild boar have dropped substantially since 2019, Russian government estimates report Russian government estimates report a 70% decline in the Russian Far East. Aleknov and the work of other researchers suggests that this decline may be even higher in the 90 to 95% range. Aleknov and his team tracked tiger activity at two sites in Khabarovsk, Kray, as well as surveyed tiger tracks in the region using the cameras to analyze the body condition of animals. Oh boy, let's see what this is. Their work showed it's likely that tigers have felt the pinch on a major food source. According to official estimates, tiger numbers have increased despite all challenges. However, our expert assessment indicates that following the African swine fever outbreak, the population has declined. I'm guessing of the tigers. Yeah, I guess I would expect that. Body analysis also revealed a number of emaciated tigers or tigers in otherwise bad condition after the arrival of African swine fever. This is particularly detrimental for female tigers. Aleknov said, as those in poor body condition are less likely to have cubs or to successfully raise the cubs they do have. They can't breed like before. We find that many cubs died because females couldn't give them enough milk or enough food. Maybe that's why they've all of a sudden showed up over northeastern China because of the problem with the boars over further north in Russia.
They're looking for food.
Yeah. Nikov and his colleagues are also compiled a wait, and his colleagues also compiled a data set of conflicts between Siberian tigers and humans before and after the swine fever struck the area. The analysis revealed that conflict increased more than 11-fold after African swine fever hit the area. For the 10 years before 2019, for example, there were only about 20 incidences of conflict per year, usually tiger attacks on dogs or other domestic animals, as well as some incursions into settlements or attacks on humans or people. But in the past 3 years, there have been 100 to 250 incidents per year just in the Russian Far East. Whoa, that's a lot, especially for this small amount. Like there might be 6 to 700 tigers over in the far east of Russia. That's unfortunate. These look like a couple of cubs. Let's see. The tigers didn't fare well in many of these cases. The researchers found that tiger deaths due to conflict or tiger removal due to conflict increased 3.3 fold after the arrival of African swine fever in the region. Nikov believes a couple of factors caused this increase in conflict. Tiger poaching was a problem in the area during the 1990s, but Nikov said this has died down a lot in recent years. However, poachers still hunt deer, decreasing the prey available for tigers and forcing the big cats to feed more heavily on boars. Yeah, but I still thought there was a plentiful source of boars, so really wouldn't have too much of an impact. They are a bit more challenging to take down. Since boars don't hibernate in the winter like some of their prey, such as badgers, raccoon dogs, and bears, tigers usually rely more heavily on boars for food during the colder months. Usually, you have it where the males might be going after female brown bears. Maybe the females are going after cubs, but probably not going after an adult female brown bear. But since the disease has decimated boar populations, tigers don't have as much to eat in the winter. Between the deer poaching and the swine fever killing boars, the situation is worse and worse for tigers. Yeah, here is one shocked one. It's like, where I can't find the boars. Or maybe he's stumbling upon a red deer herd. He's like, I found them, finally. Hungry tigers with limited wild prey translates to problems for people. Alinikov said that researchers are finding the predators more often along roads or near settlements, likely as they search for food unavailable in the wild. Tigers are also preying more often on free ranging dogs, which are found close to the settlements and are either feral or fed and owned to some degree by humans in the area. They then sometimes prey on guard dogs, which are kept in household yards but aren't very easy for tigers to distinguish from non pets. This in turn creates conflict with villagers, but some of these cases are just speculation. Causes are just speculation. Yeah, it's definitely occurring. Alnikov said that further research is necessary to learn more about the problems affecting Siberian tigers in the Russian Far East. Well, definitely that decline in wild boar, and I'm guessing the deer to an extent. Definitely the boar is going to have a big impact. Tigers love boars. Let's see. Um, is there another?
What? Oh, video?
Oh, well, um,
What are you asking for?
no, I was just looking for another article, but yeah, we can take a look at another video. Oh yeah, this from way back. Yeah, she had brought her calf over to this water hole, and I'm not sure if she knew it was already there or just immediately.
It doesn't look like she knows anything.
No, it's there. There it is. Yeah, it's I think a mugger crocodile. He
Well,
crawled from underneath her.
it survived.
Yeah, this happened a few years back.
She
I
not
think it
know it
was.
left? It, I, it just went right through her legs. Oh, so she saw it. Just checking to make sure there's not another one.
Probably. I think it was somewhere in India. Okay, from the eastmojo.com. Vanishing giant, rare Mishmitakin, caught on camera in Mao Sanctuary. Mihao. This marks the first time the Mishmitakin has been caught on camera. Okay. There he is. So basically a wild goat over, and I'm assuming some part of maybe southern China.
That's a goat.
Yep. This is a relative of the different species of ibex and a bit more of a distant relative of the different species of large sheep. And you could even say domestic goat and sheep breeds. So, Guwahati. Researchers have made significant findings on, one of India's most elusive and endangered animals, the Mishmi takin. Bodorca's taxicolor. It's a specific subspecies. This large mountain dwelling goat antelope, native to the high altitude forests of. Oh, that's it. Well, it's good to see that we got a Mishmi talking on camera over in this part of India.
That was the whole article?
Well, there might have been more, but um, it isn't allowing us to see anymore.
It's not showing anything.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Um,
buddy. Sorry about how this one looks. There's the
oh,
picture it's showing.
yeah, the let's see what moose. So young moose slips down icy hill in Norway as mom looks on. Sometimes as a parent, you have to let you kids your you have to let you kids your kids make their own mistakes. In this case, a young moose slipped on an icy slope and slid down comically slowly as mom looked on. Comma problems here and regular words. Sheesh. After the moose, calf slips, slides, and then gets back up on all four hooves, mom gives a big shudder, as if to say, "All right, let's shake it off and move on."
Yeah, you kids.
Finn Olav Andreasen shared the video a few days ago, tagging it with hashtags that suggest the video is from Harstad, Norway. Andreasen also sets the video to the tune of Taylor Swift's "Shake It Off." Why? Some commenters expressed concern for the moose calf, asking if that was okay. To that, Andreasen replied yes, reminding folks that moose are hardy animals. Um, asking if it was, I thought like if it was okay with that specific artist.
Where's the video?
I think it's further down, maybe.
No.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, wow. It really is sliding. We literally.
Wait a minute. I want to see that again. I wasn't watching. What? Well, no, I don't get to see it.
I guess this is going to be his first main winner. full winter. So he's probably a yearling.
And
I'm guessing this is probably, I don't know, some part of maybe
it said
December.
Norway, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was just guessing the time of year.
No, I thought you said it was his first Maine winter. I'm thinking he's in Maine?
Um,
Hold on,
mm,
I wanna see
no.
what. Oh. Oh, okay.
And he just started sliding down.
Well, he got his footing back.
There's definitely not really much food around. So they're probably munching on a lot of wood, which is pretty normal for moose at this time of year. Okay, so thanks for joining. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know because nothing is better.